Okay, that big fancy word, evaluating functions, pretty much just means plug it in. Okay, plug it in. Evaluating a function means we're going to plug it in. So if I have the function f of x is equal to 2x minus 3, and I ask you the question, what is f of 2, then what do? Plug it in. Plug 2 into my function. So f of 2 is equal to 2 times 2 minus 3. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. So 1 is the answer for f of 2. You can write it like this. F of 2 is equal to 1. Okay, so it's really easy when we have the equation. It's really easy when we have the equation. Now, it's really easy in other cases too. We just tend to get a little distracted sometimes. If they just gave us a table of values, like in this second case, I've given you that x values -2, -1, 0, and 1. And the g of x, the y values, are 6, 3, 2, and 3. I can ask you to evaluate a function just given its table. You don't have to know the equation. Okay? You do not have to figure out the equation there to be able to evaluate this function. G of -1, I'm looking for where the x is -1, and the answer is the y value. So g of -1 is simply +3. Similar thing would happen with a mapping. You're just looking for where the arrow is. I'm not giving an example of that one. But the last example we are going to look at here is if I give you a graph. And ignore the fact. If I give you the graph here, and I tell you that this is f of x, but I didn't give you the equation, and I ask you, what is f of 3? How would we find that on the graph? Just like we would with the table, right? We find our x equals 3. We find that point on the graph, and we're looking for the y value. Now, this is not a whole number, so I did this on purpose. So we kind of have to estimate it. So let's see here. We're almost at 1. And let's see here. How many tick marks? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each one's 0.2. So we're at about 0.75, I would say is a good approximation here. F of 3 is approximately 0.75. Now, if you had the equation, if you knew exactly what function that was, you could, of course, plug in the +3 and get your answer exactly. And this is the square root of x minus 1. And if we plug that in, it would be very, very close to 0.75. But just like you've got to be able to determine from the table, from the mapping, from the graph, if something's a function, you need to be able to evaluate a function given the equation, given a table, given a graph. Okay, you got to understand those different representations. Any questions about any of those? Okay.